Can we take a moment to talk about the very real grief you're probably feeling, or you might be feeling? And it's something that so many either fail or refuse to touch upon, because where do you begin, right? That wellspring of uncontainable, untamed human emotion that's part and intrinsic to our human experience. And especially as artists, and especially as high performers, and especially as soul explorers and trailblazers here carving the new artistic paradigm and bringing forth the new earth in the collective consciousness. So much of our time and energy is focused on building and creating and manifesting and moving forward and but without actually acknowledging the past, acknowledging the heartbreak, acknowledging the gaping holes of sadness or regret or resentment or criticism or grief inside your being that stick there. They're in the nervous system, they're in your auric field, they're in your psychic field, they're part of your process. And until we actually acknowledge and recognize and transmute and transform and alchemize this grief, you're going to be working against a lot of internal weight and residue. When in fact, when we actually meet these parts of ourselves and we say, hey, even though you're contracted, even though you're upset, even though you seem like you are this mammoth of an emotion and I don't even know how to go about you, let me inch closer, let me bring my love, let me hone in a tapping session and transmute and alchemize this pain. So whether you have lost someone dear to you, or something you expected in your life fell through, or you're on this actor's path, this artist journey where there's so many detours and pivots and almosts and what ifs that it feels like you're running up more rejections than you are yeses or breakthroughs or whatever it is, right? I mean, even before the last 5 or 6 years, this industry already had an air and an aura of hardship, and you're programmed and conditioned with the idea that it's really hard to break into the entertainment industry if you're not a Nepo baby, if you don't have the connections. And by the way, even if you're not an actor, this is very relevant to you, and you'll see why in a minute, because we all have our own version of this. Whether, it's an iteration of you that hasn't yet manifested an experience, a child, a partnership, a job, a certain financial breakthrough, whatever it is, right? We're always going and pushing and striving, and we're not acknowledging the versions of us that took to get there, as well as the letting go of the old self, the letting go of old expectations, of the old heartbreak, of outgrowing these past versions that are getting us to here now. We're always pushing, we're always forcing. It's the distorted masculine. We're not celebrating, we're not slowing down, we're not receiving. We're taking 100 misaligned actions out of lack, out of fear, out of desperation, versus slowing down, dropping into our bodies, processing the density of emotions, cleaning out our energy field, realigning our essence to our innate truth, and attracting and magnetizing through that space, and cultivating that one action that catapults us and collapses time and quantum shifts all faster than we thought possible with our limited human perception. So as actors, right, we've all had the pandemic, and there's so much unprocessed grief from that time period for so many reasons, right? And then we've had multiple strikes, and there's, at this time on the planet, there's also multiple world wars, among all these other challenging, chaotic, tumultuous things happening. And then if you're based in LA, we've had the fires. This is all separate from your personal artist journey, your personal artistic pursuits. This is collective. Of course, it's individual. We all have our own personal experiences with this, but this is outside of the normal nitty-gritty day-to-day actor's life, artist life, stamina you need, that inner resilience, that inner self-reliance, that inner sacred authority to keep the fuck going. To keep going on this path where you eat rejection for breakfast, where there's more doors slammed in your face than opened. And, thank goodness, I feel I'm in a place now where I have the tools, and that's so much of what I want to create in this space for you, the tools that I wish I had 10 years ago, the tools that I wish I had when I was so drowning in doubt I didn't even know where to turn, or my nervous system was entirely shut down. I was in functional freeze for years and I had no idea what was going on. I went all traditional routes, the talk therapy, the medication, even more holistic routes like Reiki and hypnosis, and until I found Dream Awakening EFT tapping, nothing shifted in my reality. and it all started from within, right? I had so much quantum healing happen during that time. But if we are unable to look at and access and bring love to these parts of us that are drenched in grief, I mean, damn, you think your life will be in a certain way, or your career will be at a certain set point, or you'll have a certain amount of money in the bank, or you'll have certain success metrics. And here, right, I do believe that it's paving the path to something greater. I absolutely do, because we are high performers of the spirit. You're a creative badass. You are here to spearhead and co-create the new earth. That is no small feat, my friend. You're not only rewiring your own nervous system, mind, and body, but that of your ancestral pattern to create breakthroughs for the future generations. I mean, your soul signed up for this, and it doesn't mean it's not effing hard in terms of the human perspective, right? So bravo to you, and I applaud you for that. But like, we also need to give ourselves time to breathe and be with the intensity of that feeling of loss. And it's really been coming up for me today with the theme of the week in Kabbalah is really being with our feelings right now, not in terms of like getting lost in them and letting them devour us and spiraling out, but in terms of like, wow, like what a gift to get to feel this. Let me get curious as to where it's coming from. How can I actually let the pain cleanse me? How can I actually let the pain heal me? How can I actually let the pain soothe and soften and transform me into the vessel, the greater vessel for my soul to receive more of the light of the Creator? That's the assignment this week. And I feel like yesterday and today have been both very intense, and especially these last few weeks. I don't know if you've been feeling the shift, but these last few weeks there has been like massive shifts. And I see it in my friend groups, in my family, in my relationships, in the community, in people in mentors I work with and follow, in my own internal awareness. It's like shaking up, old timelines dissolving, new timelines birthing, and you're in between these quantum shifts. You're in between identities, and there's moments of clarity and yes, I got this, and and then there's moments of like total collapse and like breakdowns and confusion and crying. And today what's been really coming up for me is the grief of the career I thought I would had by old paradigm standards, of maybe a certain metric of where I'd be in my family life or in my health or in my home or whatever it is, right? And I just want us to sit with that right now, because by continuing to bypass it, by continuing to overlook it, by continuing to dismiss it, and I'm looking at it through a lens of what a gift it's here to unpack for me. Pain is a great package for the light. And I'm holding that intention while feeling all the emotional contents, and tapping is literally the best way to do this. I've found no other tool that can do all of this and bring all parts of self into healing all at once. But let us just take a moment. I invite you to put a hand on your heart, and whatever you're feeling grief about right now in this moment, a person, a situation, a past version of you, something that didn't come through like you wanted, just overall, whatever you're feeling, let's let it rise up in our somatic bodies and take a deep belly breath in. Let it out with an audible sigh. Or just take another deep belly breath in. Let it out. I'm open to feeling the grief, to finally and abundantly move through it, transmute it, and transform it, and alchemize it to my highest good and for the greatest good of all. Take another slow, deep belly breath in. Let it out with a sigh. Just drop in and see how you're feeling. I feel more calm in my system. I feel more open. I feel more present. The miracle of our breath. That's just a very slow, diaphragmatic breath. We breathe. Together we breathe. Oh, I have more breathwork practices coming to this channel. There's just a lot I've been working on. Some more creative acting things too that I feel very excited about, but I'm not pushing or forcing in the old way. I love a deadline. I respect a deadline. I'm deconditioning from being too disciplined, but it feels like something very, very deep and cosmic shifting right now. And moving in alignment of my spirit versus external pressure from earlier childhood programming or past life programming or ancestral programming I've grown up with feels like a radical act. And being with the grief and being with the hurt and being with the pain is also a radical act. So I applaud you for that. And you know, one of the most miraculous ways to heal, to process, to alchemize, transmute, and transform is in community. And that's why I'm so grateful for this community. And that's why I'm so keen and devoted to creating resources to help us move through this together as a collective, individually honoring our own process and journey, our own wants, wishes, dreams, and desires, but also in the collective field. Below, I'm linking a tap I did for processing grief and rage. I think it was grief and shock, grief and rage. If you want one more specifically related to grief, let me know, or perhaps I'll make it a breathwork practice. We'll see. And let me know how this lands. Let me know how you can take more time to honor your process and your journey and your path, and creating space to mourn what was or what you thought would be, because that really is the gateway for the new vessel of your soul, to channel down more of the light of the Creator and to ultimately receive your deepest, most heartfelt, soul-kindled desires on a cellular level in ways you could have never imagined possible. I'm so grateful for you here. If you're new, be sure to subscribe, share this friend with a family member or creative bestie who needs it most. We got this. We're in this together, and we can uplift each other in the process. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.